I promised you guys some Canada Group B World Cup draw reaction. Um, hmm, let's get into who they're playing. The Canadian national team is going to be playing in Group B, and they're going to be playing against number 17 in the world, Switzerland. These are FIFA rankings. Number 51, Qatar, and the winner of the UEFA Playoff Path A, which could be Wales, Northern Ireland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, or Italy. Um, for the sake of this argument, let's say it's Italy. Let's say the Italians finally qualify for a World Cup. They've missed the last two. This would be three straight World Cups that they miss out on if they can't qualify. For the sake of the argument, we're saying it is Italy. That's who I think it'll be. It's not an easy group. Not an easy group by any means. God, I think out of the three hosts, Mexico, the U.S. men's national team, and Canada, Canada ends up getting the short end of the stick. They have a much harder group. Um, certainly, uh, it's going to be a battle, and it's football. You can win a game, but on paper, there are some opponents they're not favored against. They won't be favored against Switzerland, and they won't be favored against the Italian national team. They will be favored against Qatar. This Qatari team, if this was pre 2022 World Cup, I would have said, "Oh, that could be tricky," because I actually thought Qatar played well in the lead up to Gold Cup. You saw them play in Asia in their qualifying. Qatar played decent with Felix Sanchez. They actually moved the ball. They had that a good DNA, good way about them. That went out the window during the World Cup. They were terrible, dog shit. They did not look like the Qatar that we saw up until then. And now I don't think they're good enough. The way that Canada presses, the way that Canada plays with that intensity, I think they're gonna do well against Qatar. That's a very winnable game. That's the only winnable game that I see in that group. Winnable. Like this is yours. You have to win. Switzerland is very good. Switzerland has made like I think the round of 16, the last 7 World Cups, if I'm not mistaken. They are a consistent team. You know how Mexico used to be a team that always got out of the group phase, that always qualified for the World Cups, but couldn't get to that quinto partido, that quarterfinal game. That's Switzerland of the European continent. Switzerland is a team that is constantly knocking on that door. They are a handful to play against. We saw against the U.S. men's national team. We've seen them against Mexico, wipe both teams off the board. They're very good in transition. They've got a lot of pace. They've got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of experience. You see what they've done in the Euros. They're constantly there. That's a team. I don't care who you are. You don't want to face. I don't care who you are. You don't want to face Switzerland. They face Switzerland. Um, it's very important that you win your first game. Very important that you win your first game. I believe I've said this in the U.S. men's national team video and the Mexico video. You win that first game, your chances of qualifying for the next round more than double. You lose it, it's pretty much you're done. Um, the first game is against, for the sake of this argument, Italy, and it's where that game takes place. That game will take place in Toronto. Your boy used to live in Toronto when I played for Toronto FC. I lived in a beautiful little downtown area, excuse me, called Yorkville. Um, sometimes I walked around, went to cafes, and prego, I would say, because it's only Italian. It is only Italian. I don't know the exact number of Italians that live in Toronto, but I don't know how much of a home field advantage that is going to be. I really don't. Uh, the Italians will be back at the World Cup for the first time in the last 3 editions. This will be the first time. Yeah, they weren't at 2022. They weren't in 2018. The Italians are going to come out in full force. They are already one of the teams with the strongest followings. Now you put them in a Italian-centric setting like Toronto. I don't know how much of the Canadian national team fan base you will see. I say this respectfully. Toronto is full of Canadians. Excuse me, obviously. Toronto is full of Canadian Italians. Can I say Canadian Italians? Italian Canadians? They have the support. They will have the support there, and I'm worried for my Canadian friends. And Canada's kind of a tough team to figure out. Um, elite talent. I mean, guess as a guy who doesn't want to play with them anymore, um, chooses when and when not to. Maybe he comes. He hasn't really been the same since the Euros and in 2020. I'm trying to think of the type of team that Gennaro Gattuso is going to have out there. They're going to be complicated. They're going to be gritty. Defensively, they're going to try to be, you know, tactically disciplined. But it's not a lot of talent per se. It's just the matchup doesn't really suit the Canadian men's national team. Canada, if you played against Brazil, I think they do very well. Played against Spain, they could probably do very well. And the reason I say this is because Canada doesn't necessarily want the ball. Canada wants you to have the ball and they want to press you. They want to fly in front of your face, punch you in the mouth, and get at you defensively in the way they press. That is what Canada's going to want to do. They want to do this for 90 minutes, intensity, and that's why they did so well at Copa America. Um, they need teams that want the ball. I don't think Italy's going to want the ball. I don't think Switzerland necessarily has to have the ball. That's why I think they could struggle here. And listen, we'll see what the Canadian national team has in store. But if this was maybe a year ago, I would feel better about it. A year ago, guys like Jacob Schaffelberg were showing us what they could do in a Copa America. A year ago, Jonathan David, the best nine for my money in CONCACAF, was brimming with confidence, full of it. Leo's all-time leading goal scorer, scoring goals in the Champions League. He had scored against Real Madrid, Atletico, against Juve. He scored against Liverpool. He scored against all the big dogs. He's struggling to get off the bench right now at Juventus. He's not scoring goals. And I know he was a late starter, late bloomer, if you will, when he was in Belgium, late bloomer, if you will, when he was in France, and it'll come. But the moment right now isn't exactly favorable for individual talent, the Canadian men's national team. Alphonso Davies. This week, we may see Alphonso Davies after, feels like almost, I don't know, 10, 11 months since he did his ACL. We're finally going to see Alphonso Davies back on the field. But it's not a given what type of Alphonso Davies we're going to get. Kone, type of Kone we're going to get. You know, he's not the Kone that left to France and we had high hopes for. We saw what happened with his coach and how he was kicked out of training. It's not the same confidence level. Dane St. Clair, is he going to be the goalkeeper? He's brimming with confidence and took Minnesota as far as they could go in MLS Cup playoffs. Tajon Buchanan has been better. Actually, he's been really good with Aloysia out in Villarreal. They've been pretty good. But it's not exactly like every single player is at their peak moment. And then Jesse Marsh. Can Jesse Marsh learn from the mistakes of his predecessor, those who were before him? I'm talking about John Herdman and what John Herdman couldn't do in the 2022 World Cup. Can you play with a plan B? If plan A isn't working, if you can't be as intense, if you can't defend high up the field, can you defend in a mid block, a low block? Can you change your system? Jesse Marsh will be a question mark too here. This is a World Cup. He's a debutant in a World Cup. So there are a lot of things not going in the favor of Canada. I'm kind of scared. I don't think they'll get grouped, but I fear they may come in third place in this group. And I hate saying that because I pick Canada a lot. I knew they'd have a better Copa America than the U.S. and Mexico. They did. Last World Cup, I said they would beat Belgium. They lost to Belgium. They should have beat Belgium. They missed a penalty kick, and we're all over Belgium, and Belgium got their goal and they ended up winning. But they were better than Belgium for long stretches of that game. I believe in this Canadian men's national team. I do not like this group. I don't like this group at all. I'm a bit worried for my Canadian friends. Let me know what you think about Canada's group. Let me know what you think about they were end up in Canada's group. I'm hoping it's top two, but this is a tricky group.